Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
Hello and good evening. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from Anisha Bata Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Concert. Tonight, Supreme Court delivers verdict in the Pandai election dispute, quashing the Tamale High Court's order for a rerun. As your election command center, we're big on this one tonight. And also, the NDC mulling the idea of a review. Stay with us. We'll get into it. Also, the Ghana Journalists Association condemns military brutality on Media Journal's Northeast correspondent, calling on the military high command to investigate and punish the perpetrators. Get into all of this tonight. Stay with us. Also, the Bank of Ghana has reduced the monetary policy rate from 18% to 15.5%. We'll tell you what exactly all of this really means for especially the business community. And then also we keep an eye on how things are playing out in the Teshi and the Chado areas, where there's been a demolition exercise undertaken by the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO. Stay with us. We've got all of this plus more. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
The Ghana Journalists Association, GJA, has demanded an immediate investigation and punishment of military personnel who brutally assaulted Media General's Northeast correspondent, Solomon Kanalue. GJA says it is deeply troubled by the rising attacks on journalists by security agencies and wants all identified culprits interdicted and prosecuted.
It reflects a dangerous disregard for the right of civilians and journalists and undermines public confidence in the professionalism of the Ghana Armed Forces. The GJA condemned this assault in the strongest terms and calls on the military high command to immediately investigate the incident, identify the personnel involved, and apply appropriate sanctions. We further demand that the matter be treated with the seriousness it deserves and that the victim is offered protection and support. Attacks on journalists by military personnel, whether in the line of duty or otherwise, are completely intolerable and must not be normalized under any circumstances.
Leadership of the National Democratic Congress has vowed to seek redress following the reinstatement of Matthew Yindam as Member of Parliament for Pandai constituency after the Supreme Court decision. Earlier, the Apex Court, by a 4-1 majority decision, quashed the Tamale High Court ruling that annulled the Pandai parliamentary election in December 2024.
As a party, we are aggrieved by this decision, and therefore we will advise our candidate in the matter regarding the next step to take. We should be interested in the Gazette notification published by the Assembly Press under the authority of the Electoral Commission that was brought to Parliament, for which people like me were sworn in. That cannot be a gazette that will be discounted by the court.
President John Dramani Mahama has issued a clarion call for a bold and coordinated overhaul of Africa's financial architecture, warning that the continent's industrial ambitions will remain stalled without access to affordable long-term capital. At the Africa Trade Summit 2026, the president warned that Africa's industrialization is being stifled by shallow financial markets and high interest rates, making essential long-term capital unaffordable.
Shallow financial markets, high interest rates, debt pressures, and limited non-extractive investments continue to slow our progress. These constraints demand new thinking and collective action. Africa must mobilize its domestic resources more effectively through improved revenue collection, stronger financial management.
The Bank of Ghana has cut its monetary policy rate by 250 basis points to 15.5%, marking the lowest level in 4 years. Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Johnson Asiama, spoke at the 128th MPC press briefing in Accra.
Based on the foregoing considerations, the committee, the MPC, by a majority decision, voted to lower the monetary policy rate by 250 basis points to 15.5%.
The Drug Law Enforcement Unit of the Ghana Police Service has destroyed a large quantity of seized cannabis and other narcotic substances as part of ongoing efforts to combat drug trafficking and abuse in the country. The police say they will continue on their clampdown on drug syndicate.
The Ashanti Regional Police Command is determined because we believe that it is drug use that is helping these young ones into criminal activities. So we are committed to deal with it.
And this morning is on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7. Also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook. As always, probably brought to you by Flamingo Paint, Simply Superior, Sasso Insecticide Spray and Call, Kumtumtum Preko. Coming up next year on Ghana Tonight is one that has been the talking point for the past almost 14 hours. Supreme Court quashes Tamale High Court's rerun order in the Pandai election dispute. Now, this is a matter that both the NPP and the NDC have been neck deep in interest. And today, we got to know the verdict of the Supreme Court. Now, the leadership of the National Democratic Congress, they vowed to seek redress following the verdict of the Supreme Court, which effectively reinstates Matthew Nyandam as a member of parliament for the Pandai constituency. Earlier, the Apex Court, by a 4-1 majority decision, quashed the Tamale High Court ruling that annulled the Pandai parliamentary election in December 2024. Let's go back to what happened after the verdict today. Let's hear first from Matthew Nyandam, who has now been effectively reinstated as the member of parliament for the Pandai constituency, beaming with joy and obvious excitement about this ruling earlier today. Take a look.
12, I was elected, and I served the people 2 terms. They know whom I am, and I'm serving them honestly. So unfortunately, what happened, I give glory to God. In my life, whatever happens, I think that is ordained to happen. So I'm not going to run away from what happened. But I know very well that the people gave me the mandate. And by the grace of God, God is alive. My God is alive. Yes. He will obviously speak for me one day. And he has spoken to me for today. And I'm grateful. I'm going back to Parliament to continue to serve the people. Just like my youth organizer said, we are not serving MPP people in Pandai or NDC people in Pandai or CPP. I'm serving the people of Pandai. That's what I'm doing. And every single individual in Pandai, unless you are excessively partisan, you like Matthew's services.
Yes. That's the man. That's our choice.
So obviously, I am happy, but the Bible says, touch not my anointed, and do my prophet no harm. Yes. So I am grateful to the Supreme Court for making that word come to pass today, because I am serving my people, and I'm anointed to lead them. So shall it be.
And today is the day the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice in it.
Amen. Indeed, but the NDC is saying that once the ruling is out, it will be out in February 6th. And go back to they're saying that it's not the last they're going to hear of them.
That is their choice. I cannot challenge that. But I strongly believe that whatever be the case, I will lead the people.
Thank you.
Well, it says touch not the anointed. And, well, the NDC is not backing down as yet. They still want to pursue the route or the option of a review. We'll get to that in a bit. But Roxy Nelson Dapiamepo is Majority Chief Whip. He led the team of the NDC represented in court today. And this is what he had to say about this ruling. Take a look.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, the court has just given its decision in the Bandai matter. Is to the effect that the decision of the Tamale High Court, the Commercial Division, decided by Justice be quashed by a 4-1 decision. Now, as a party, we are aggrieved by this decision, and therefore we will advise our candidate in the matter regarding the next step to take. But the court is a court of equity and of law. We should be interested in the Gazette notification published by the Assembly Press under the authority of the Electoral Commission that was brought to Parliament, for which people like me were sworn in. That cannot be a gazette that will be discounted by the court, because it's a public document. The MPP cannot benefit from that gazette notification and come to court and say that that is not the proper document. You see, the MPP, when the Tamale court gave the decision in our favor, they called the court the kangaroo court. Today, when they got the court decision in their favor, they are singing the praises of the court. But we are law-abiding. We want to urge our teaming supporters, both here and in Bandai, to remain calm. This is not the end. This matter is not the end. The ruling of the court will be filed according to the court's own decision by the 6th of February, when we obtain the ruling, and that's the certified true copy.
Well, so that's Nelson Rossum Dafiamepo there, but the NDC's candidate for the Bandai constituency, that is in the 2024 elections, as Daniel Wapal, also had this to say. He said he's still hopeful with this option of a review that the party is considering. Take a look.
My supporters, the people of Bandai, they all know that we have fought a good fight. And we're happy. They didn't say they didn't rig the election. They say we're out of time. And we'll see. We are waiting for the ruling, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much.
Soon after the declaration or the verdict by the Supreme Court earlier today, we were in the constituency for some reactions. We're going to show you how the constituents in Bandai have been reacting to this latest development in court. Take a look at this. We'll connect with the people on the ground. Take a look.
I was part of the elections, 2024. Everything went on well. You see, there's something about Ghana. If you are on top, you think you are so knowledgeable that you cannot be compared to someone. I was part of the elections. You can imagine Rashid Tanko saying that there were some polling stations that was up to 1,000, which you did not even configure your figures to check even if there are thousands. Is that the margin that we are going to give? Nothing of that sort happened. Look, this constitutional rule matter, the Supreme Court has done this. But to come to the subject of the matter, the High Court, I was there as well. In fact, I don't know what the court read, because I also learned that every decision taken by a court has to be backed by logic. So I don't know what the judge actually used. But we are happy in all Supreme Court has quashed everything. We are happy. 4-1. 4-1. It shows you that what happened in Tamale Court, there was some kind of fishy things there. Let me tell you, look into my first word. When the court started, I was there from day one. We appeared in the court 19 good times. 19 good times. They were not able to substantiate their case.
Martin has been doing very good for Panda District. Me myself, I'm not from Panda here. I'm a foreigner, being based here for a very long time. And I've been seeing very good things Martin has been doing for Panda District. So I'll vote and vote for anytime they choose Matthew each and every day.
And the speaker ruling is good. It's not 419. It's good to us. So if somebody say that the speaker is 419, the fellow is lying. It's not 419. It's good. For the, because our MP is doing what for Panda here. And we know the thing that he's doing. And we know the outing that he's doing for Panda. It's not NDC, it's not MPP.
Well, let's stay further a bit on this particular development in the Pandai constituency, because it's one that really many were watching how things will play out, especially with the verdict of the Supreme Court, which we now do know. But the full details or the verdict of the Supreme Court would also be made known in a little over a week's time. So we have the full complement of the reasoning of the justices of the Supreme Court who delivered their verdict earlier today. But Rashid Tanko Computer, whom you heard one of the constituents mention his name in that video we just played to you, he is the acting director of elections and IT for the NDC and CEO for GIFEC. He's joining us on Zoom. Mr. Tanko, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred. Let me say good evening to you and the good people of Ghana. Good evening to everybody, and good evening to the good people of Pandai.
I see. Well, we would also be live in the constituency this evening. Christopher Marco is going to be joining us just to gauge the mood in the constituency. We understand there's been jubilation all throughout, but that the jubilation is not one that you, Rashid Tanko Computer, is going to be happy about, is it not? Because the court did not favor your cause today.
Alfred, it's early days yet for them to jubilate.
Why?
These are the things we do. I always tell them, MPP, they are not learning from their past mistakes. It's early days for them to jubilate. Look, Alfred, we respect the decision of the Supreme Court. In fact, it's the apex court of the land. We respect them. We respect the law laws, their decision today, but we totally disagree with the ruling. We disagree with the ruling completely. And we are waiting for the reasoning, which will be filed on the 6th of February. Now, when we get hold of the reasoning, the ruling itself, on the 6th, we'll get our lawyers to peruse it, and our next line of action will be spelled out. As we speak now, we have other ideas under our sleeves. Did you know that we cited them for fraud, Electoral Commission and MPP, in our affidavit, in opposition to what they filed at the Supreme Court? And during the presentation, the last 2 weeks, when we were in Supreme Court, the panel member, the president of the panel, did ask Gary Nima, who is the lead counsel for the applicant, that why is it that he did not address the court about the fraud issue that the first interested party, which is NDC, raised? And his response was that it was a genuine mistake. It couldn't have been a genuine mistake. This was false representation. And look, fraud vitiate everything.
I see.
And that is what they did. And then so there is another leg of the matter which they don't know.
Okay,
which
so
that
leg of the matter which you just mentioned, is it a substantive matter in court? Is it a matter being pursued legally, or it came up during the hearing of this particular case which the court has ruled on today?
It came, in fact, it was part of our affidavit. When we were responding to their application, we raised issue of fraud against Electoral Commission and the MP. Interestingly enough, they shy away from responding to that during their presentation. And it was presented to them. And their response was that it was a genuine mistake. And we're saying that it couldn't have been a genuine mistake. And we are saying that, fine, that is why we are waiting for the 6th February reasoning, so that we get to understand what went into the ruling. Because what the people did, in fact, they committed fraud.
Anyway, because you said this is a matter that you intend to pursue in the court of law, the element of fraud is one that you're going to have to prove in court, okay? So that let's wait to see how the coming days will look like on it. Because you say this is a substantive matter you want to pursue. So we just want to leave the verdict of that in court. Okay, of the matter
that we are going to look at.
Okay,
because
great.
We are not going to leave the matter hanging this way.
Right.
Otherwise, Alfred, there's something I needed to make very clear. We're all in Tamale High Court, and the ruling of the Tamale High Court is now a public document. Although the ruling has been quashed using technical means, the reasoning of the ruling is very clear, where the trial judge indicated that there was a polling station. In fact, 2 of them. One, the MPP got 1,400 votes. The other one, they got 1,200. How come? The highest number of registered voters in Ghana currently for a polling station is 750. So clearly, Martin Nyindam, 3,000 they are talking of. He got 2,000 alone from 2 polling stations.
I see. So that's
This is what we are talking of.
It is that assertion that
are bearing their mind to that.
Yes, it is that assertion that the gentleman we just played the video was referencing that you said. But the minority spokesperson on legal matters, Honorable John Darko, also had this to say about your decision to seek a review. He says, well, you've lost, so just accept it and go. But take a listen to him. I'll seek your response, okay? But this is John Darko.
It wasn't so much about the decision of the court, okay? It was about the fact that the court had no jurisdiction in the first place. And if you don't have jurisdiction in law, you cannot do anything. You cannot build something on nothing. It will not stand. And so that is what happened. And look, we raised this issue. And so we were surprised that our brothers in the NDC, some of them are lawyers and they understand this basic point, but they still feel that we were wrong. But we've been vindicated on this. In spite of all the valid reasons we were advancing, they still felt that they had to push Nyindam out and declare him persona non grata. What they don't understand, that review is not as of right. And so when you go for a review, you don't have to assume that the matter will even be taken up. You need to show some fundamental injustice which has been done to you. Okay, I shudder to think that they'll be able to cross that. What was that indecent haste for? And here we are. Imagine that the court, the Supreme Court, hadn't held the whole process. Would have had an election to elect somebody, spend money, and possibly people will be hurt in that process. And the Supreme Court will overturn the whole process. So there was no need for that rush to, declare the seat vacant. They were completely wrong. Protests.
I see. So that's John Darko there. He references some of the things that you talked about, Mr. Tanko, that there was really no need for you to have even gone on this path in the first place. Not to talk about considering a review after taking hold of the full complement of the reasoning of the Supreme Court on this matter today.
I totally disagree. I disagree with his position. And that has been their problem. Look, that is why we are citing that we are going to make sure that people will be very hot. Some people are going to be very hot in the days coming. Look, do you know that this 6th January gazetting that we are talking was brought to court by the MPP? Nyindam, Honorable Nyindam and his lawyers brought that in. Let's go and look at their affidavit. When they filed this affidavit at the Tamale High Court, praying the court to dismiss our application that we filed on 23rd December 2024. What did they say there? They said we had filed when there was no gazette. And they brought a gazette in order to justify that application. Paragraph 8 of that, the affidavit, stated explicitly, pointing to the 6th January 2025 Gazette, which included Pandai. They brought it in there. And then so based on that we withdrew that earlier one we filed. And then at case management, Electoral Commission, that is why we are saying that both Electoral Commission and MPP are appearing to be one party now. Didn't see anything wrong with that because the Electoral Commission saw the safe document at the case management side and didn't say anything. They were quiet. So it's like both of them knew what they were doing and play along with us for more than 11, in fact, almost 11 months in court until the ruling came. So if you don't describe these people as fraudulent people, how will you describe it?
Well, but you see,
and that is why we are saying the fraud vitiate everything.
That's why I said that this element of fraud that you're talking about is one that you want to seek it proven or otherwise in the court of law. So until that is done, you wouldn't want to go ahead of yourself to be calling them fraudulent people. That's what I meant. But stay with me. Stay with me. Zango, stay with me, because you know what? We'll hear from the minority, because there's a statement that has been issued. They are asking that all administrative processes around all of this should be, in their view, halted. So I'll have you respond to that in the final point, and then we'll move on this. But Christopher Mwako is connecting with us right now. Christopher has been to the constituency this evening. And Chris, thank you for joining us. What are the constituents telling you? It's been a whole night of celebration for you with the residents observing them, is it not?
Yes, Alfred, exactly. So it's been exciting for the supporters of Matthew Nyindam. Immediately the verdict was brought out. The people within the Pandai community began their jubilation, especially those who support Matthew Nyindam and the MPP. The principal streets were flooded with people of the MPP and his supporters. This evening, the celebration has taken another trend, because Pandai is a place that when it's 9:30, people are already indoors and not coming out. But it does appear that today is a different day for the people of Pandai. The community, a lot of people are still sitting outside, jubilating and also talking about the ruling today. And so it's been excitement for some of the constituents. Of course, those the ruling went their favor, but the other side, those who did not get the ruling in their favor, are saying that, well, once the peace of Pandai has been maintained, they are happy. After all, they are in their second year, and in the next 2 years, they'll be going to polls again to elect their member of parliament. And so they embattled a former member of parliament, that is the NDC parliamentary candidate for the 2024 elections, Daniel Nsala Wakpao, should calm down, wait till December 2028 so that he will go again and try his luck. That is if the delegates within his party give him the opportunity. And so it's been peaceful, it's been exciting for those who had victory today, and life moves on in the Pandai community.
Well, let's take a look at those videos and listen to those that you spoke to this evening. Take a look. Christopher has been moving through the community, and the very bustling stage we see in there, with those on motorbikes moving around as well, in that sign of joy. But also joining us is private legal practitioner Justice Abdullahi, also a lecturer at the UPSA Law Faculty. Thank you for joining us this evening. Let me find out from you your view on the NDC mulling the idea of a review, and they are waiting for February 6th, because that's the date that we've been told that the reasoning of the court on this matter would be published, so we all get to know why there was one dissenting and that 4 majority going for the NPP's case. What's your view on this review option that the NDC is talking about?
Indeed, Alfred, I will strongly push for that if I had any means of supporting the NDC in pushing for that agenda, because like I said, it would be crucial for us to know the position of the Supreme Court in relation to the Second Gazette, because that will determine in a lot of ways whether those relying on that Second Gazette to be called members of Parliament are indeed validly elected to be members of Parliament of our Parliament today. But having said that, I think that the consistency of the Supreme Court, which deserves of our commendation, also calls into question the continuous denigration of our court whenever we lose matters, particularly at the APS court. We call them all kinds of names. I think this Supreme Court has shown within a year how not only it has shown the consistency with which they can deliver quality decisions, but they have also shown that it's a completely new departure from the previous Supreme Court that we've known. I mean, for the last 8 years that we were in this country, we saw a particular Supreme Court which is completely different from the current one. And so I think whilst commending them, we also need to advise ourselves that we need to show some level of candor when we lose matters at the Apex Court. The era of continuously denigrating the Supreme Court, I think, should be over, because we couldn't have had this at any better time. And so this is the if you want to call it caution that I throw to all of us, particularly as legal practitioners, that we tend to denigrate these, the only courts that should serve as a good backbone for all of us whenever they make unfavorable decisions against us, and tend to commend them when the decision go in our favor. But I think we should show that level of sportsmanship, that level of candor to accept defeat and also commend them even where we disagree, and do as the NDC is attempting to do, go for a review if need be. And possibly the review may come up with something that might not necessarily resolve issues that we are dealing with, but would change the roadmap going forward in our constitutional democracy.
I thank you very much, Justice Abdullahi, for your thoughts on this. And also, thank you, Christopher Marco, for bringing us how the night looks like in Kwandai. And briefly, before I let you go, Mr. Tanko, this is what the minority in Parliament is saying. They issued a statement, a number of things they talk about, that this is a landmark ruling that has indeed restored the status quo in the Kwandai constituency. They say that they are making an immediate call to action, an immediate and formal withdrawal of any residual notification or administrative acts suggesting that the Kwandai seat is vacant, so that the records of Parliament and of the Electoral Commission accurately reflect the Supreme Court's decision and the continuing mandate of Honorable Nyendam. They also want a thorough internal review within Parliament under the leadership of Right Honorable Speaker Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagwin, to ensure that in future no notification of vacancy is issued while appeals and applications for stay are pending, unless a final court expressly directs otherwise. And then also a recommitment by all sides of the House to the long-standing parliamentary practice illustrated by the Abodakwi, Sakande, Nyimakan, and Kwesen experiences of respecting the hierarchy of courts and awaiting final judicial determination before taking steps that permanently affect representation and the composition of the House. These are some of the demands that the minority is making. So that's their call to action. Your way forward is a review, right? And a quick one on their call to action that they are making. Quickly.
Hypocrisy of this minority is legendary. Just 4 days ago, they held a press conference and ran down the Supreme Court. They called the Chief Justice all manner of names. In fact, I can't even mention some of the terms they use against the Chief Justice and the justices of the Supreme Court. Today, look at what they are writing. The hypocrisy of them is just legendary. And this statement should be thrown out. It should it should be thrown away.
I have just read it.
And that's why I'm saying that is hypocrisy, total hypocrisy on their part. You just saw their press conference recently. The kind of statement they made against the Chief Justice who empaneled these judges who rule in their favor today. You see, NDC, we are magnanimous in defeat.
So you are seeking a review?
Because we will go through the process. We will not attack the judges. No.
All right.
It is not in our DNA. NDC will not do that. That's why we respected whatever came out today. We respected the decision, but we only referred to the decision and said, look, we disagree with the ruling, but we want to see the reasoning. And then we'll take our next line of action on it.
February
we respect
6th.
them a lot. We
Great.
will not behave like the minority. MPP, look, they're attacking the Tamale judge, attacking the Supreme Court, left and right. Now today they got a ruling, and look at what they've gone to put on paper.
February 6th is a date to watch. Is a date to watch. February 6th. So we'll come and then find out if you are concrete about the review or not. Okay. So that's the date. Thank you.
We'll be standing by.
Rashid Tanko Computer is Acting Director of IT and Elections for the NDC, and then also the CEO of GIFEC. Coming up next, the GJA has slammed the military brutality on our own colleague in the Northeast region, calling for swift justice. And earlier today, there was a press conference that was addressed by the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, demanding an immediate investigation and punishment of the military personnel who brutally assaulted Media Journal's Northeast regional correspondent, Solomon Kanawole. GJA says it is deeply troubled by the rising attacks on journalists by security agencies and personnel, and wants all identified culprits interdicted and prosecuted. Take a look.
If the military was doing something right, was lawfully exercising their powers, why would they seize his phone after subjecting him to inhuman attack? Seize his phone, flash his phone, so he wouldn't get any information. And even messages that were sent earlier to people on that day were all deleted before the phone was recycled. This is how inhuman some people can be. And this is unacceptable, unlawful, and deeply troubling. It reflects a dangerous disregard for the rights of civilians and journalists and undermines public confidence in the professionalism of the Ghana Armed Forces. The GJA condemned this assault in the strongest terms and calls on the military high command to immediately investigate the incident, identify the personnel involved, and apply appropriate sanctions. We further demand that the matter be treated with the seriousness it deserves and that the victim is offered protection and support. Attacks on journalists by military personnel, whether in the line of duty or otherwise, are completely intolerable and must not be normalized under any circumstances. We will await the position of the military high command. We are very much keenly and interested in the matter, and we are ready to react and respond to any position they come out with. We hope that they will be very fair, firm, objective, and candid with their position. This is the media they are talking about. They can't use our own media. You can't issue a statement which will be contrary to the truth and expect our people to cover it, to give you the needed mileage. We will await the position of the military high command on this matter.
Well, this comes after management of Media Journal and the Media Foundation for West Africa demanded justice for the journalists and all those affected by the military brutality. We'll put it on the screen right now. This is a statement that Media Journal, the management of Media Journal, put out earlier over the last 24 hours, also expressing with deep concern the reports of the brutal assault of our Northeast regional correspondent and also the Solomon Kwame Kanawole by the military personnel in Wale Wale, January 26, 2026, and the strong condemnation of the act of violence against a journalist and then who was going about his daily activities without filming any military exercise. Also, the unwarranted assault represents a serious abuse of power and a violation of the fundamental rights guaranteed under the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And we therefore call on the military high command and the IGP to urgently and thoroughly investigate this incident and ensure that all persons or personnel found culpable are identified and appropriately sanctioned in accordance with the military and national laws. You'll find the full complement of it on 3news.com. And the military high command has also issued a statement just a while ago indicating their investigation into this matter. I'm going to read it as we have received it. The Ghana Armed Forces is investigating an alleged assault on a journalist, which was reported on Monday, January 26th. The incident was reported to have occurred at the outskirts of Wale Wale in the northeast region, where in recent times there have been reported incidents of attacks on public transport resulting in deaths and injuries. The Ghana Armed Forces wishes to alert the general public that these current happenings in the northeast and upper east regions have resulted in heightened levels of insecurity, which will occasionally necessitate the conduct of military operations without notice. The general public is hereby informed to cooperate with the Ghana Armed Forces and other security agencies. So this is a statement signed by Veronica Ajo Ahin, Captain Veronica Ajo Ahin, Acting Director General, Public Relations of the Ghana Armed Forces in there. So this is the official statement from the Ghana Armed Forces on this particular issue. It's one that we're going to keep the steam on to follow through and see how all of this plays out. But this is Ghana Tonight. We're going to go for this quick break. When we're back, it's a troubling development we've seen over the last 3 days. The National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, has been embarking on demolition exercise in the Peshi, Chado areas. Now, that's what's coming up next, because every time when this happens, persons who have their properties on these lands pay the price of the demolition of their properties. But then the persons in authority who look on or give approval for this illegality to occur never get punished. And that's the concern of one man who's going to be joining us after this quick break, Engineer Muhammad Abdullahi. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly. on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook. Coming up next, some property owners in Chado and some areas in the Peshi area are counting their losses following the demolition exercise. And these buildings we're seeing being demolished were built on waterways. In fact, portions of the Peshi Lagoon were said to have been encroached by these persons and property owners who had their buildings pulled down in the last 3 days. There's been an exercise that the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, carried out a demolition exercise of unauthorized structures along the Chado stretch, and I'm going to put that on the screen right now. And the Peshi Lagoon, as part of efforts to reduce flooding and the risks in the area. The videos you're seeing are part of the NADMO-led demolition exercise over the last 3 days. In fact, we've seen different structures at different levels of completion that have been pulled down by the NADMO, also with the aid and assistance of the Ghana Armed Forces. You see some personnel of the Ghana Armed Forces also aiding or helping the military in this regard with the bulldozers that have been at work over the last 3 days, pulling down these unauthorized structures in the Peshi Lagoon enclave. And this, according to the National Disaster Management Organization, is a continual exercise. Over the last at least 1 year, we've seen demolition exercises take place in the Ramsia site and other areas, wetlands. And this Peshi Lagoon area, this is close to Chado, is the next stop. And over the last, since Monday, this bulldozer and excavator you're seeing has also been at work busily demolishing structures over the last 3 days in this area. And the residents there have been left with sorrow looking at their investments and also these buildings that they own being pulled down within minutes after taking years to put them up. Let's take a listen to some of them who shared their ordeal with the news team. And this, the 1957 News spoke to some of them. Take a look.
Omo man here, ya fum de ya fum. Eti ya sra ma ya mboa bia omo mai. Baby aye won, ye ni baby ko. Ene ye ni baby aye beda. Enti fum de Ghana for mpanyifo ya sra mu a eni mbra kwa mu se ye beda, ye beba be ye eda no wa ha. Ba the way Ghana na te no, wo pe baby a obeda. Obi kase beto a obeto, wo ni baby a obeko. Enti fum de ya fum mpanyifo no omfa chaye no mma ye baby ni emfa ye tinto
upon all ami brand say me so munya me fighting ye bibi kakra e ma me ma no na say daachin so omuso munya baby etina na me ohia ni me bre ye bibi say mo hwe aha ni nsuo no na ewo enu ha o ewo no ha wo nante wo ha ko a wo behu say me amidan wo ha no nsuo ni mben me na ene ya bubu na ma ko ha ene na amuko bubu a na wo hwe ho no mo na nsuo na no pe o gwata na no pe omo afili asi wall afensi na ekoka ye si penifo wo ho area nti mpenifo ne bi o area ho nti omo mbu omo ajai na wo hu kura obehu se ho na ye the important place that they have to start there and break first omo bubu ho first and san na mo ba ye ha because
From the information that we gather from journalists who have been monitoring this demolition exercise over the last 3 days, there are some 3 owners of some buildings that were pulled down today who have been hospitalized as a result of this demolition exercise and the shock of seeing their buildings pulled down. But there's one apartment story building that was also pulled down that has generated some conversation across social media, and this is it. And the owner of this building, when the stand was called in there, looked on with helplessly as the structure, this particular structure, was pulled down within minutes because it was sited in this Peshi enclave. And we understand this area was filled, even though it is part of the Peshi Lagoon enclave, was filled and this building legally put up there. And they have all lost their investment. Engineer Muhammad Abdullahi is joining us on Zoom right now. And I've seen a number of your write-ups on this particular consistent demolition exercises over the years. And the question that you ask is, to the extent that persons who break the law, obviously, building in these waterways, they pay the price with these demolition exercises that we've seen. They lose their investments within minutes. But they don't do that in a vacuum. They don't do that oblivious of what the authorities would have to do. So who has to also be answering questions, at least from the assembly level, and then also the persons who give these people permit to build in these areas?
Well, I'll say good evening. This is a very sorry, very sad situation. Good evening to your cherished listeners and viewers. Today, let's just concentrate our attention on the assemblies, those who are supposed to be giving permit to the developers. If you look at the Land Use and Special Planning Act 2006, Act 925, Clause 36 and 37, where they say the responsibilities of the district assembly. Now, the 37 talks about the assembly committee or the special committee members. It is headed by the municipal chief executive or the district chief executive. In his or her absence, the coordinating director sits for the committee to be chaired. We have the fiscal planning officer of the assembly. We have the works head of the assembly. We have the NADMO officer of the assembly. We have a member from the EPA. We have 2 members appointed from the district assembly, assemblymen and women, who bring about 2 other persons of the various districts that they got their elections from. We have the fire service, and even in the event where the buildings are beyond the assembly's specialties, the clause also gives you to co-opt a member who is a specialist to come and be part of the committee. He doesn't vote when it comes to the voting. Now, these members are in the same act. They are saying that in the absence of the head, whoever sits to be the chair, he is not absorbed of the delegation of authority and the fact that if they do anything wrong, they are supposed to be liable. And I'm just using this one Bible, that is the Land Use and Special Planning Act of 2016. Now, all these members, the fiscal planning development officer, the fiscal head, the works head, the district coordinating director, the MCE, the EPA, the NADMO, who are now undertaking this exercise, if they are part of the local assembly, it should be questioned how they allowed this building to spring like mushrooms. And this building didn't spring up overnight. So I am thinking that some of the people who have been issued with legitimate permits, even though the wrongdoing of going to put up a building in a landfill area, which is a lake or the buffer of the lake, doesn't absorb you from not being affected by whatever you have done, they can sue. It's about time that some of these people whose buildings are being demolished sue the assemblies once they have legitimate permit, because the assembly is not supposed to sit in the assembly committee and then issue the permit. They are supposed to move around, get to the location, look at the zoning status. And if the zoning status is being given by the special committee and it doesn't form part of the area where it's supposed to be given for building to be constructed, it's only proper that the committee will now deny you the application and cite reasons why you cannot put up your building there. But if the assembly, with all these members, have issued a permit for the developer to go in and do the construction, it's only proper that even before any of these people who have going through this devastation go to court, government should start to act by questioning the various local assemblies who have the technical expertise to issue or to deny the permit. We shouldn't be sitting down and allowing some people who are putting up these buildings within this neighborhood they are novice. Those are desperate people who want to have their buildings. I'm not absolving them from the irregularities, but some of them are so desperate that they get a parcel of land, they want to put up a building. It's only proper that the assembly would go in and give you reasons why your structure cannot be permitted to be constructed in this location. In fact, about 15 years or 20 years ago, I stayed in Bemakam, and I know the Chado area properly. There's one of the lake called African Lake behind the trade fair.
Yes.
It was being filled gradually. And we behaved like we're all ostriches. And the penchant of Ghanaians just taking every lake, stream, pond, which is supposed to help the ecology, and fill the place and put up structures. I'm just listening to your video that some people are pointing fingers at some structures which are standing. There should be a bipartisan interrogation or investigation to see to it that every building in this area is brought down. I've just been told that the president has appointed one of the astute land luminaries and a lawyer to investigate some other structures which are sitting on government lands. I think these are some of the things that I'm sure that the government would have assigned the luminary to move in and then get every building in this area. But I'm saying that the assembly, see, we always sit down and we allow the Greater Accra Regional Minister to come and be the bad person. The district assemblies issue permits. They allow people to continue to put up buildings. And then whenever there's a government that comes in, then the bad person becomes the regional minister.
Absolutely.
And some fraction of members. Why do we have the district assembly chief executive who chairs the committee? If this are being done and we see that these members who issue the permit are all at the assembly, I think heads must roll. It's not even for the people to take to court, but government who is researching must ensure that if everybody's name is seen on that document, even if you have been transferred to another district, you must be called to come and answer how the head of works approved a permit. The physical planning officer consented to it. The EPA, the NADMO in particular, who are those who come in to demolish so that we can sanitize our area so that when the floods come, it will not inundate our communities. All these people are supposed to be accountable for anybody who finds a signature. In fact, when you get your document, when you get your building document to put up a building, you will see the members who have consented to the approval at the assembly. So this is not something that you have to go far to get the document, and people have to be charged for negligence at the local assembly. But the Act 925 clause 36 gives that power, and the clause 921, 113, 121 is explicit on this. I am sure that the local government minister, in consultation with the regional minister, will come up with something that will let people have relief for the fact that you cannot sit at the assembly and issue permits to some novice people, some people who are so distraught to go and put up buildings, and then when they come for the demolition, you will be exempted and they will be facing the music. It's not right. It's certainly not right.
And a comprehensive analysis of what you have just done. There's nothing more to add, Engineer. Appreciate you for this. And this is one that we're going to stay the steam on, because we keep asking questions, knocking on the doors of all these institutions that you have just mentioned to give us answers on who's going to be fired for giving these permits to people who have built and not losing their investments as well, because they are also a part of the entire scheme of things. But thank you for joining us, Engineer Mahama Abdullahi. And before we go, there's a statement coming through from the Foreign Affairs Ministry, and Ghana is going to convene a high-level consultative conference on regional cooperation and security in Accra. The government of Ghana, under the distinguished auspices of His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, will host a high-level consultative conference on regional cooperation and security from Thursday the 29th to Friday the 30th January 2026 in Accra. The consultative conference, which would commence with meetings of senior officials and ministers, will culminate in a summit of participating heads of state and government from the region. The consultative conference would discuss security and other related challenges affecting the region, including terrorism, violent extremism, transnational organized crime and maritime insecurity in the Gulf of Guinea, and many more. So you find a full complement of this on 3news.com. On behalf of the rest of the team, we want to say thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. We're back again tomorrow for another conversation. I'm Alfred Conse. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint.